The 2026 Porsche 911 GT3 and GT3 RS stand as rolling proof that authenticity still matters in a world increasingly dominated by turbochargers, electrification, and digital filters. At a glance, the GT3 may look almost understated next to the visual fireworks of Lamborghini or McLaren, especially when viewed without its towering rear wing. Yet beneath that familiar 911 silhouette lives a machine that delivers one of the most visceral and rewarding driving experiences available today. This is a car that does not rely on gimmicks or exaggerated styling to announce its intent. Instead, it speaks through sound balance, steering feel, and an unfiltered connection between driver and machine that borders on obsessive perfection. At the heart of the 2026 Porsche 911 GT3 is a naturally aspirated 4.0-liter flat-six engine mounted behind the rear axle, a layout Porsche has refined for decades. This engine produces 502 horsepower in standard GT3 form, and what makes it truly special is not just a number, but how it delivers that power. The engine spins freely to an astonishing 9,000 revolutions per minute, a figure that feels almost rebellious in a modern era where force induction dominates. As the tachometer needle climbs, the sound transforms into a razor-sharp mechanical wail that feels closer to a race car than a road-legal sports coupe. Acceleration is immediate, linear, and intoxicating, rewarding drivers who are willing to chase the red line rather than rely on low-end torque. For those seeking even more extremity, the GT3 RS takes the concept to its logical conclusion. Power is increased to 518 horsepower, but the real story lies in the aerodynamics. The RS was an absurdly large rear wing that incorporates a drag reduction system similar to those used in Formula One. Active aerodynamic elements work constantly to balance downforce and drag, maximizing grip in corners while still allowing impressive straight-line speed. The result is a road car that feels astonishingly composed at speeds that would unsettle most supercars. On the track, the GT3 RS is a weapon, capable of generating enormous grip and confidence through high-speed corners. Performance figures back up the experience. At the test track, the 2026 Porsche 911 GT3 equipped with a 7-speed dual-clutch PDK transmission sprinted from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 2.7 seconds. The 6-speed manual version, beloved by purists, completed the same run in 3.3 seconds, trading a bit of outright speed for a deeper sense of involvement. The GT3 RS matched the automatic GT3's 2.7-second run to 60 and went on to complete the quarter mile in 10.9 seconds at 127 miles per hour. These numbers place the GT3 firmly in supercar territory, yet they only tell part of the story. What truly defines the 2026 GT3 is how it feels when driven hard. Porsche introduced a control arm front suspension to this generation, a first for a production 911. Combined with standard adaptive dampers and ultra-sticky Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires, or even more aggressive Cup R rubber, the chassis delivers astonishing levels of grip and clarity. Steering is telepathic, responding instantly to the smallest input and providing feedback that allows the driver to sense exactly what the front tires are doing. A new adaptive steering function improves on-center response, making the car feel even more precise during high-speed driving and subtle corrections. Despite its track focus, the GT3 is not a one-dimensional machine. Porsche shortened the bump stops to allow additional suspension travel, which makes the ride more forgiving over rough surfaces and curbs. On real roads, including challenging backcountry routes, the GT3 remains composed and surprisingly comfortable. It can handle imperfect pavement without feeling brittle or punishing, a quality that separates it from many hardcore track-focused rivals. The GT3 RS, by contrast, leans more aggressively towards circuit use. Its suspension tuning is significantly stiffer, delivering maximum performance at the expense of everyday comfort. For some drivers, that uncompromising nature is exactly the appeal. Transmission choice plays a significant role in defining the GT3 experience. Porsche offers both the lightning-quick 7-speed PDK automatic and a traditional 6-speed manual. The PDK delivers ruthless efficiency, snapping off shifts with race car precision and extracting every fraction of performance from the engine. The manual, however, remains a highlight for enthusiasts, Its shift action is mechanical, precise, and deeply satisfying, reinforcing the GT3's reputation as a driver's car above all else. Choosing between them is less about speed and more about philosophy. Braking performance is equally impressive. Massive steel brake rotors come standard, providing strong, consistent stopping power with excellent modulation. For those who plan frequent track use, Porsche offers carbon ceramic brakes that resist fade even under extreme conditions. These brakes deliver heroic performance while reducing unsprung weight, further enhancing handling. Optional active anti-roll bars help keep the car flat through corners, sharpening turning and improving stability during aggressive driving. Inside, the 2026 Porsche 911 GT3 balances motorsport intent with everyday usability. The cabin design closely mirrors the rest of the 911 lineup, maintaining a clean, functional layout that emphasizes the driving experience. A prominent analog tachometer remains at the center of the gauge cluster, flanked by digital displays that can be configured to show performance data. A specific GT mode places critical information directly in the driver's line of sight, reducing distraction during spirited driving. In the GT3 RS, additional steering wheel controls allow drivers to adjust adaptive damper settings on the fly. Seat options cater to a wide range of preferences. Lightweight sport seats with folding backrests are available, offering power adjustment, heating, and integrated thorax airbags. Cleverly, part of the headrest padding can be removed to accommodate drivers wearing helmets, highlighting the car's dual-purpose nature. For those seeking more comfort, the 18-way Adaptive Sport Seats Plus provide extensive adjustability without sacrificing support. The touring variant of the GT3 even offers optional rear seats, making it more practical for daily use. Technology sees subtle but meaningful updates for 2026. The 10.9-inch infotainment display remains familiar in appearance but benefits from upgraded hardware for quicker response times. Porsche has integrated Amazon Alexa, expanded third-party app support through the Porsche App Center, and added Dolby Atmos spatial audio to the optional Bose sound system. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto come standard, along with a Wi-Fi hotspot and native streaming apps like Spotify and Apple Music. These features ensure the GT3 remains connected without overwhelming the driving experience. Fuel economy has never been a priority for the GT3, yet remains reasonable given performance on offer. Previous models achieved EPA ratings around 14 miles per gallon in the city and 18 on the highway with the automatic transmission, with slight variations to the manual. Real-world efficiency will depend heavily on driving style, but few buyers will consider fuel consumption a deciding factor. The 2026 Porsche 911 GT3 and GT3 RS stand as rolling proof that authenticity still matters in a world increasingly dominated by turbochargers, electrification, and digital filters. At a glance, the GT3 may look almost understated next to the visual fireworks of Lamborghini or McLaren, especially when viewed without its towering rear wing. Yet beneath that familiar 911 silhouette lives a machine that delivers one of the most visceral and rewarding driving experiences available today. This is a car that does not rely on gimmicks or exaggerated styling to announce its intent. Instead, it speaks through sound balance, steering feel, and an unfiltered connection between driver and machine that borders on obsessive perfection. At the heart of the 2026 Porsche 911 GT3 is a naturally aspirated 4.0-liter flat-six engine mounted behind the rear axle, a layout Porsche has refined for decades. This engine produces 502 horsepower in standard GT3 form, and what makes it truly special is not just a number, but how it delivers that power. The engine spins freely to an astonishing 9,000 revolutions per minute, a figure that feels almost rebellious in a modern era where force induction dominates. As the tachometer needle climbs, the sound transforms into a razor-sharp mechanical wail that feels closer to a race car than a road-legal sports coupe. Acceleration is immediate, linear, and intoxicating, rewarding drivers who are willing to chase the red line rather than rely on low-end torque. For those seeking even more extremity, the GT3 RS takes the concept to its logical conclusion. Power is increased to 518 horsepower, but the real story lies in the aerodynamics. The RS was an absurdly large rear wing that incorporates a drag reduction system similar to those used in Formula One. Active aerodynamic elements work constantly to balance downforce and drag, maximizing grip in corners while still allowing impressive straight-line speed. The result is a road car that feels astonishingly composed at speeds that would unsettle most supercars. On the track, the GT3 RS is a weapon, capable of generating enormous grip and confidence through high-speed corners. Performance figures back up the experience. At the test track, the 2026 Porsche 911 GT3 equipped with a 7-speed dual-clutch PDK transmission sprinted from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 2.7 seconds. The 6-speed manual version, beloved by purists, completed the same run. Safety and driver assistance features take a back seat to purity. The GT3 includes only minimal assistance technology, such as backup sensors and traffic sign recognition. This approach aligns with the car's philosophy, placing responsibility firmly in the hands of the driver. Warranty coverage is competitive, with 4 years or 50,000 miles for both limited and powertrain warranties, along with 1 year of included maintenance. Ultimately, the 2026 Porsche 911 GT3 and GT3 RS represent the pinnacle of Porsche's commitment to driving engagement. They are cars that reward skill, passion, and attention, offering an experience that feels increasingly rare. Whether carving through mountain roads, attacking a racetrack, or even handling daily commutes, the GT3 proves that a true enthusiast car can still exist in the modern world. It is not the flashiest supercar, nor the most exotic, but in terms of authenticity and connection, it stands among the very best.
You know that blurry line where a car you can drive on the street stops and a machine built purely for the racetrack begins? Well, this thing lives right there. This is the Porsche 911 GT3 RS, and honestly, it's way more than just a car. It's a statement. So that really brings up the big question, right? How in the world do you take a car that has to follow road laws and give it the soul, the reflexes, and the pure unfiltered performance of a race car? Porsche has an answer, and it's pretty wild.
So, where do you even start? Well, you start by completely rewriting the rulebook on how a car deals with air. I mean, look at this wing. It's not just the first thing you notice, it's the declaration of war on physics. It tells you everything you need to know. This car is not about its engine, it's about mastering the air it punches through.
And that gets us to our first big idea. The whole philosophy here is that this isn't just a souped-up 911. Oh no. You have to think of it as a thoroughbred race car that has been kind of reluctantly given just enough civility to be road legal.
For anyone who follows Porsche, those two letters, RS, which is short for Rennsport or racing sport in German, they're basically sacred. So when you see GT3 and RS together, you know you're looking at the absolute top of the food chain. The most raw, extreme performance you can legally put a license plate on.
And this just says it all. Before you even get in the car, you're greeted by this, a carbon fiber door sill. And that's not just for looks. It's a constant, in-your-face reminder that every single gram on this car was questioned and every part has one job and one job only. Go faster.
Okay, so let's get to the real heart of the story, because this is where it gets crazy. More than any Porsche before it, the shape of this car wasn't decided by a designer with a sketchbook. It was sculpted by the invisible force of air. Now check this out, because this is a total game changer. In a normal 911, this is where the trunk is. But in the RS, nope, it's gone. Replaced by one giant angled radiator, like you'd find in a race car. So those huge vents on the hood, they're not for the engine in the back. They're sucking hot air out from that radiator, which creates this powerful vacuum that literally pulls the front of the car down onto the road.
And you see that idea everywhere. I mean, just look at the size of that gaping vent behind the front wheel. It is enormous. It's there to bleed off all the high-pressure air that gets trapped in the wheel wells, which would otherwise try to lift the car up. Every single fin and blade you see is actively working, bending the air to its will, keeping this car glued to the track.
Which brings us back to the wing, and really the best way to think about it is with this quote. You know how an airplane wing is shaped to create lift, right? To make it fly? Well, this is the exact opposite. It's engineered to generate a massive amount of force pushing down, pinning the car to the pavement for insane levels of grip. And get this, for the first time on a road-legal Porsche, it's actually taller than the roof.
And you've got to see this comparison, it is just mind-blowing. On the left, you've got the previous GT3 RS, an already wild car with a huge wing. But on the right, the new one. This isn't just an update, it is a complete revolution. We're
We're talking active aerodynamics pulled straight from Formula One, with a drag reduction system, or DRS, that lets the wing flatten out on the straights for more speed. Just incredible.
So, with all this insane, complex stuff managing the physics on the outside, what's it like for the person actually driving it? Well, let's step inside the command center. The interior is, well, it's all business. You're not going to find any fancy wood trim or plush carpets here. It is just a sea of Alcantara to cut down on glare and carbon fiber to cut down on weight. Everything, from the seats to the steering wheel, is there for one reason: to help you drive better and faster.
And what's dead center, right in your line of sight? It's not the speedometer. Nope. It's the tachometer. Because in a car like this, how fast the engine is spinning is the most important piece of information. That naturally aspirated engine, no turbos, just pure response, it screams all the way to 9,000 RPM. And Porsche put that dial right there so you don't miss a single one.
And this is where things enter the realm of science fiction. Look at those dials on the steering wheel. For the first time ever, you, the driver, can adjust things like the suspension's compression and rebound on the fly. You can even fine-tune how the differential locks up while you're in the middle of a corner. This is a level of control that used to be reserved for race engineers with laptops in the pit lane.
Okay, so you have the mind-bending aerodynamics, you have the high-revving engine, and you have this driver-focused cockpit. But what does all that engineering actually feel like? Well, to find that out, you have to take it to its happy place, the racetrack.
So let's just forget about the numbers and the tech specs for a second. Because when it comes right down to it, all of this engineering, all of this obsession, it all serves one simple, beautiful purpose.
And this is it. This is the payoff. Being able to carry a ridiculous, almost unbelievable amount of speed through a turn. You can just see the whole car hunkered down, all that downforce working, physically pressing the tires into the asphalt.
You know, this isn't a car you're supposed to drive gently. It doesn't want that. It only comes alive, it only starts to make sense when you're pushing it. When you're using every last bit of grip, every last RPM, it's a tool that's meant to be used on the very edge of what's possible. I love this shot. Kicking up dust, using every single inch of the curb, and then some. See, this doesn't look like a car that's out of control. This is a car that is perfectly in its element, rewarding the driver by being stable and predictable even when you're doing something this extreme. It's literally a dance with physics. So, at the end of the day, what is the GT3 RS? It's really the ultimate expression of everything Porsche has learned from decades of winning races like Le Mans and Daytona. It's all that knowledge, all that pain and glory from the racetrack distilled down into something you can actually put in your garage. Which leaves us with one last big thought. This car is an absolute